2016, dumating po dito sa Canada ang isang dating ministro ng Iglesia ni Cristo na si Caluel Menorca para po humingi ng proteksyon at refugee status kaugnay po ng di umanay panggigipit at pagtatangka sa kanyang buhay sa Pilipinas. Ngayon po mahigit na 9 na taon na ang nakakaraan, kamustahin po natin ang buhay ni Caluel. Gayon din ang kanyang mensahe kaugnay po ng nalalapit na eleksyon sa ating bansa.
Ang black voting, yan ang current currency ni Eduardo Manalo para sa mga politicians at para sa kanilang mga vested interest. Root of corruption that has plagued the country for many, many years.
Caluel, kamusta na po kayo?
Mabuti naman po. It's been a long time. Was a hard struggle along the way, but with God's help, we were able to settle here in Canada. Nagkaroon kami ng panibagong buhay, panibagong pagkakataon, panibagong simula. Entering Canada was really hard during that time because nobody knew about Iglesia ni Cristo and the anomalies that happened in the Philippines. So nung pumasok po ako sa Canada to claim refugee status and protected person asylum, they did not believe anything I was saying. And I can still remember one of the officers told me, the things that you're telling us only happen in the movies. So it was really hard for them to believe it until, they interrogated me for 10 hours. Until finally when they actually Googled my name and Googled Iglesia ni Cristo and saw everything that happened in the Philippines. I remember the line that they told me that left a very lasting impression on me when they said, "You came to the right country." So that's when they allowed me entry, and then simula ng process of applying for the protected person status until eventually, after a long and rigorous investigation and hearing, finally, the Immigration and Refugee Board approved my claim and I was granted protected person status here in Canada.
Nabanggit kanina, sabi sa inyo sa immigration, you came to the right place.
I sincerely believe that that I was able to come here for a purpose of, being in a protected place, providing protection and safe haven for my family in order for me to be able to be a more effective instrument to help those who are still being persecuted and oppressed in the Philippines. I had this notion before nung umalis ako. Sabi ko, I'm just gonna secure my family so that they'll be safe. And I wanted to go back to the Philippines and actually testify in the Supreme Court for my case, not for any reason, not for glorification. The only reason why I wanted to do that because I wanted the truth to come out. I wanted to put a stop to what the Church of Christ under Eduardo Manalo is doing to different families who are dissenters or people who may have a difference in opinion or even the mere fact of asking questions. Kasi during that time, basta nagtanong ka, targeted ka na. And then when that happens, they're gonna not only go after you, they'll go after your place of work, they go after your family, your social circle. So they would apply pressure points into your family members so that they will silence you. So I remember the time when I had the face-to-face talk with Brother Eduardo Manalo during the time that I was still in detention, because I wanted to prove for myself if Eduardo Manalo was blindsided by, different operators in the church. Kasi I had this naive notion na baka victim din si Brother Eduardo Manalo. Baka hindi niya alam yung ginagawa ng mga sanggunian ministers niya, yung mga tao na who entered into politics and, doing all of this corruption and anomalies. Baka in the dark din siya. So I wanted to talk to him personally just to be able to confirm for myself if he had anything to do with my kidnapping and the kidnappings of other ministers whom they suspected to be Antonio Evangelista during that time. And to my surprise, when I was actually talking to him, he actually confirmed that it was his instruction to do that. And his justification was during when I was trying to explain, I felt so naive trying to, for that brief moment, para bang sinasabi ko sa kanya, alam niyo ka, Eduardo, ganito ginawa sa akin nila Benefrido Santiago, yung mga, lahat ng mga may kinalaman sa kidnapping. And then he stopped me. Hinawakan niya ako sa braso, and then sinabi niya sa akin, Lowell, sabi niya, naiintindihan mo naman kung bakit kinailangan namin gawin sa iyo yun.
Actually, sa aking pagkaalam, doon lahat nagmula. No? Yung hindi pagkakaintindihan.
Until now, the church, what they're trying to do, especially in the Philippines or even abroad, they're trying to spread lies saying that hindi naman daw totoo na nakakulong si Ka Angel. So, and unfortunately, there are members who actually believe this. And they were saying that the mother of Brother Eduardo, which is Sister Tenny Manalo, sabi nila, patay na daw. At bago daw namatay, nakapagbalik loob sa church si Brother Angel, Brother Mark, Sister Lottie, and si Sister Tenny. And then, nasa pangangalaga daw sila ng Ka Eduardo. I think it was more to soothe the reputation of the church administrator, Brother Eduardo Manalo, para hindi naman sa tingin ng mga members nila na napakasamang anak naman ito, napakasamang kapatid naman ito, pinabayaan yung pamilya niya, pinakulong pa. So, pinakakalat nila yung ganung mga lies. Until now, I still receive messages from, silent members of the church trying to confirm, totoo po ba na nakalaya na daw ang Ka Angel? Sabi ko, hindi po. Until now, we're still, doing our best to provide for their legal fees para lang umusad sana yung kaso. Kasi until now, imagine for 9 years, nakakulong pa rin siya, awaiting justice. And they're doing their best. And I hope, the justice system can investigate how the church is manipulating the justice system in order to delay due process. Kaya it's either biglang nagkasakit yung judge, biglang pinaraffle ulit, biglang may holiday. Imagine yung delaying tactics nila tumagal ng 9 years and a person ripped off of his liberties, torn apart from his family until now suffering.
Nagkakaisa ba ngayon sa inyong palagay matapos ang pagkakaalis sa pwesto ni Ka Angel?
Nung nakita nila na nagkaroon ng plea for help, ang Ka Angel, you saw the video, Ka Angel and Sister Tenny Manalo, every member of the church who grew up with the doctrines of helping those who are in need, they answered the call. Nung sinabing tulungan niyo po kami, they went there. Nagdala sila ng pagkain, nagdala sila ng tubig, and they were just merely helping. To their surprise, biglang tinakot sila, binantaan sila, meron pang pinaputukan yung bahay, meron pang namatay, pinapatay dahil nga sa pagtulong. So, nagkaroon ng palaisipan sa mga kapatid na bakit ganun? Ang doktrina natin tumulong sa nangangailangan. Whether kapatid ba ng Ka Eduardo yan o simpleng taong mamamayan na humihingi ng tulong, tutulungan natin yan. Bakit ngayon tumutulong tayo? Tayo ngayon yung tinatarget, pinahihirapan. So, anong nangyari po nun, yung mga tumutulong nun, sila ngayon yung naging target for persecution and oppression. So, kaya nagkaroon ng schism or pagkabahabahagi sa iglesia noon. To your question, kung meron pa bang buo pa ba ang pagboto sa Iglesia ni Cristo, nung panahon pa lang na yun, nung nakita na nila na bakit nagkakaganito ang iglesia. It's supposed to be about unity, it's supposed about love and worship of God, tapos biglang nagkaganito. So people started asking questions. And when they tried to ask questions sa minister nila, instead of being provided answers, they get threatened. Baka isa ka sa mga lumalaban sa pamamahala. And then, you're gonna be threatened with expulsion o pagtitiwalag. So, you have a choice. It's either you really seek the answers to your questions or you just keep quiet and be silent. Kaya nagkaroon ng movement noon na tinatawag na Silent No More. These are the people who are legitimately trying to seek answers. And about the unity in the church, I don't think even during that time nung nagkagulo na sa iglesia because the executive minister himself could not answer very simple questions about his own family, about the state of the church and his Sangguniang ministers, doon nila nakita na parang iba na. So, noon pa lang nung time na yun, although sasabihin nila na nagkakaisa pa rin, but the truth is hindi na. Hindi lang ganun ka-open yung mga tao to voice out na they're no longer supporting the decision of the executive minister, especially in choosing the politicians to vote during election. Kasi natatakot sila na pagka pinakita nilang hindi sila sang-ayon, dati kasi ititiwalag eh. Pero ngayon, ititiwalag ka na, ihaharas ka pa, tapos ipe-persecute ka pa, baka mamaya makulong ka pa. So nobody wanted to go through that. They made us an example. Myself, others who are like me, and even Brother Angel Man. Kung sarili niyang kapatid, pinakulong niya. Hindi openly na they would go against the decision of the church, but in their very own way, sa eleksyon na to, doon nila gagamitin yung pagkakataon na to protest na hindi na tama yung ginagawa ng pamamahala. Kasi at least doon, they have somewhat of a protection na hindi sila kilala, hindi alam na kung binoto mo ba o hindi. But what the church administration is doing is to make sure na they would hold campaigns, they would hold events in the Philippine arena, papupuntahin lahat ng mga kapatid doon, bibigyan ng mga incentives, giveaways, tapos bibili na oh, ito ang iboboto. Kaya what used to be sacred gatherings for the church, for worship, and for religious activities became a political playground for politicians, which is very unfortunate. So a lot of uh, right-minded and thinking members of the Church of Christ is going to use this opportunity to say, no, enough is enough.
Marami talaga nanginginig. Basta ang pag-uusapan ay yung suporta ng
Mhm.
iglesia, lalong-lalo na sa local government.
Bago pa magkaroon ng mga polls, yung mga talagang poll groups, meron ng polls ang church. Dito na nila ngayon i-judge kung yung bang kandidato ay malakas sa public opinion. Kasi the last thing that they would want is to endorse a politician who's bound to lose in the election. Kasi of course, ayaw nila na pagdating ng ano, kita mo yung tinulungan ng iglesia, natalo. Pero anong naririnig natin? Historically, halos lahat ng sinuportahan ng Iglesia ni Cristo, puro nanalo. It provides an illusion of credibility na basta dinala ka ng iglesia, mananalo ka. Ang hindi nila alam, meron ng prior gathering na nangyari prior to providing that decision. The last aspect of making the decision is you know, what do we need from this politician? Let's say, for example, this certain politician is running for senator. There is a portfolio of each politician. Ano yung, historically speaking, ano yung naitulong sa church? Ano yung naging, let's say, red mark? Kunyari, ito yung isa sa mga bumatiko sa church, ito yung hininga natin ng tulong pero hindi tumulong. Ito yung pinakausapan natin na i-promote si ganitong secretary, hindi sumang-ayon. So may listahan yon. Para pagdating ng panahon ng yung tinatawag na deliberation, okay, malakas to sa poll, pero tingnan nga muna natin, ito pala, hindi marunong makinig to pagka sinabihan natin na o kailangan namin ng tulong mo. So, yun yung mga deciding factor. The reason why I know this for a fact is because my father was the executive secretary of the church before, under Erasto Manalo, and also served under Eduardo Manalo. So I was privy to the first-hand information nung kinausap ng father ko, sila De Venecia, sila Erap, sila Gloria, sila Ramon Revilla, sila Maliksi nung nagkakagulo sila and pinagbati sila. So all of those things happened in the background. Hindi mo makikita yun in the headlines
Yes.
because those are covert operations of the church. Because of the block voting of the church, it opened the door for unscrupulous people to exploit the unity of the unsuspecting church members. So itong pobreng miyembro ng Iglesia ni Cristo na ang gusto ay maglingkod sa Diyos, gustong makipagkaisa, makatulong, pagka narinig niya ang susuportahan ay si ganito, gagawin niya yon. Ano yon? Dala ng kanyang pananampalataya, pag-ibig at pag-asa na yung gagawin niya ay makalulugod sa Diyos. Unfortunately, yun din ang ginagamit ngayon ng pamamahala ng Iglesia ni Cristo under Eduardo Manalo para mamili ngayon ng mga politiko na dadalhin nila na kapag sinabi nila, o sige, bigyan mo ng bigyan mo ng diplomatic appointment si Eduardo Manalo. Kinakailangan meron niyang diplomatic immunity para kahit saan pumuntang bansa yan, protected yan. Kaya kita mo, ano ang posisyon ngayon ni Ka Eduardo sa government? Ano siya? Special envoy to the overseas Filipino workers. Pero kung tutuusin, nasa ang opisina niya, nasa yung report niya. So parang these are all vested interests of the church in exchange for political endorsement. Meron din kapalit na political favors.
Yung mga ganitong bagay, Kaluwel, ano? At sa mga nakaraan, eh, eh, alam ko na marami na rin kayong, ilang beses na rin kita nakapanayan noon, mga expose tungkol sa INC. Sinubukan mo na bang na iparating ito sa mga kinaukulan, sa mga opisyal ng pamahalaan?
It can only happen if, for one, the block voting in the Philippines will be amended.
Of course, hindi lamang ito. Ang gusto ninyong ibunyag o sabihin. Okay. Tama po ba ako kung sasabihin na meron pa kayong nalalaman?
I know that there are a lot of politicians who are exploiting this block voting, the church. And I know that there are also politicians who are already fed up with this patronage system with the church and the government. Kasi it actually diminishes the ability of the country to have good governance. I know that there are some politicians, some people who wants change, who wants to expose the truth so that it will not be abused. And I'm hoping na there would be those people that I can talk to, that we can collaborate so that we can expose, this root of corruption that has plagued the country for many, many years.
Meron po ba kayong mensahe, bihin po natin, sa mga miyembro ngayon?
Sa pagtatanong, walang mali. Sa pagtatanong, kagustuhan nating matuto. Kagustuhan natin na kung mali yung iniisip ko, itama nyo. Pero kung tama yung iniisip ko at mali na pala ito, bakit mali ang pinagagawa nyo sa amin? Pero pagka nakita ninyo na pagka nagtanong kayo, babantaan na kayo, pagka nagtanong kayo, matatakot na kayo, or baka mapahama kayo, parang iba na. Ito na yung pagkakataon nyo para imulat ang ating kaisipan, imulat ang ating paningin, matuto tayong magtanong, magtanong kayo sa mga ministro ninyo. Doon pa lang makikita na ninyo pagka nagtanong kayo at paggalit na agad or may pagbabanta na, isa lang ibig sabihin nun, may tinatago. O baka may mali na ayaw malaman ninyo. At kung sakali man ang Ka Eduardo nakikinig at sa palagay niya, mali lahat ng mga taong nagtatanong, ito na yung pagkakataon din niya para magsalita, para ipaliwanag bakit ganun ang ginawa niya sa sarili niyang kapatid. Bakit kung ang itinuturo niya ay mapalapit ang tao sa Diyos, mahalin ng mga magulang at mga kapatid, bakit hindi niya maggawa sa sarili niyang magulang at mga kapatid. Bakit kinakailangan mangyari pa yon sa sarili niyang pamilya at sa iba pang mga kapatid? Tapos kung sino ang mga magtatanong ay parurusahan, ititiwalag, o kaya naman ay ipapanalangin nila na sana ay mamatay. I think itong eleksyon na darating, magiging eye-opener sa lahat ng mga kapatid. Kasi kung mapapansin ninyo, ginagamit na ngayon ang bahay-sambahan para sa mga propaganda, ang mga kapatid para sa mga political activities. Hindi ito ang kinagis ng Iglesia ni Cristo ng marami sa atin. I think itong eleksyon na darating, magiging eye-opener sa lahat ng mga kapatid. Kasi kung mapapansin ninyo, ginagamit na ngayon ang bahay-sambahan para sa mga propaganda, ang mga kapatid para sa mga political activities. Hindi ito ang kinagis ng Iglesia ni Cristo ng marami sa atin.
Maraming maraming salamat po, Cadwell.
Opo. Maraming salamat, Henry, and salamat din sa pagkakataong ito na makapagsalita sa iyo at sa lahat ng mga manonood sa programang ito.
Patuloy po ang aking pagtatangka para makausap ang pamunuan ng INC para po masagot at matugunan ang mga pahayag ni Callowell. Umaasa pa rin po ako na sila'y magbibigay ng kanilang tugon para mailahad din po ang kanilang reaksyon. Ako po si Edo Maga Diaz. Hanggang sa muli.